Okay, and we are now live on Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Adriana Stewart, and I'm currently a junior political science and sports medicine double major studying at Howard University. And I have the pleasure of serving as PAWPAC's social media intern. PAWPAC is continuing our interview series with our endorsed candidates so that you all can get to know them. And I have the pleasure of interviewing Little Rock School District Board Zone 9 candidate, Dr. Kieng Vang-Dings. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the questions. So while we're aware that you're running for the LRSD School Board for Zone 9, can you tell us who you are outside of politics?
Okay, so I'm a mom. I have 2 young daughters. They keep me busy, to be sure. I'm also a scientist. I'm an assistant professor, research assistant professor at UA Little Rock. I do science. I'm an educator. I mentor graduate students, undergraduate students. I've taught in the K-12 space. I've also taught undergraduate classrooms, specifically in biology and immunology and animal physiology. So in terms of research, my research is directly focused on nanomaterials. Nanoparticles is the study of things that are extremely tiny. So if you could think about 1 nanometer is, I'll give you an analogy. So if the diameter of the Earth is 1 meter, a nanometer, a marble is 1 nanometer. So if you think about that in terms of size, I study extremely tiny things called nanoparticles. And currently right now we're interested in nanorods. And these are between 1 to 100 nanometers. And we're utilizing these particles to understand how we can enhance and even to enhance the immune system to make it better. And if I could just give you a little bit background about the immune system, in a time where we're having this pandemic due to COVID-19, your immune system, everybody has an immune system. Most animals have an immune system, plants and fishes, we have an immune system. And the immune system helps protect us from pathogens like viruses and bacteria. And so what I study is how these tiny little particles can impact your immune cells. And then I want to know how I can make your immune system better so that it can fight off cancer or it can fight off pathogens. So outside of politics, that's what I do. I'm a scientist, I'm an educator, and I'm a mother. Yes.
That is amazing. And I know you mentioned that you are an educator and a scientist, heavily involved in both. And so, you've even assisted in the design and implementation of scientific curriculum at both the K through 12 level and post-secondary level. So how did you know it was time to switch gears and run for the school board position?
Good. That's a very good question. So we moved here about 5 years ago, and at that time, my daughter was almost school ready. And so we started looking for homes. And what I noticed was that homes in West Little Rock, in the Heights and Hillcrest, these were zoned for what we call A-rated schools. So if you go to websites like Redfin or Zillow and you click on the home, they will tell you what zone or what school that you're zoned for. And if you do a little bit more digging, you figure out that schools north of I-630 and west, these are where all the A-rated schools were. And schools south of I-630 had the majority of the F-rated schools. in the Little Rock School District, school demographics and performance data, it paints a clear picture. Schools that have a lower percentage, about 40% of low-income kids, these are in tendency, they tend to be rated better, so they're the A-rated schools. Schools that were rated F or schools that are F-rated have more low-income children, about 87%. And it's just unfortunate that the low-income children just happen to be Black and brown. So I felt it almost a moral obligation as a scientist during this pandemic to run. And two, I felt that with my experience in science and in education, I could really make a difference to the Little Rock School District and help lift up not just kids from Zone 9, but kids from all over, especially south of I-630.
Yes. And so, as we know, switching gears a little bit, this election for school board holds a great deal of importance, as the last school board was disbanded a few years ago. And so with that in mind, I'm sure many of us, especially educators and parents, are looking very hard to make sure they're making the right choice for this reestablished school board. Can you shine some light on why your visions and your plans are best for enhancing LRSD Zone 9?
Okay, so so that in general, the Little Rock School District, in terms of, well, in general, Arkansas is ranked 42nd in education. And the Little Rock School District, in terms of math and science, according to the ACT Aspire, the percentage of students that meet the readiness test from the ACT Aspire, it's about 23% or lower. This means that over 77% of children can't meet basic math and science standards. I come from my perspective is, I'm a scientist, I'm an educator. Why can't I use my experience to help the Little Rock School District and the kids so they can do better? In addition, after I graduated with my PhD, I did 2 postdocs, a postdoc in T-cell tolerance. And then because I was deeply interested in teaching, I did a postdoc in science education. And partly with the University of Minnesota Twin Cities campus, but also in conjunction with the Mayo Clinic. With the Mayo Clinic, there's this amazing science education outreach program called the Inside Out. And the idea of this program is, the basic idea is prescription education. And the idea sounds exactly what you would think it is. If you prescribe education, perhaps you can change student performance and maybe even behavior outcomes. And so based on that idea of prescription education, if you can have a child who who is exposed to the scientific method from the beginning to the end, and I mean the scientific method, propose a question or a hypothesis, design an experiment, carry out an experiment, collect the data, analyze the data, and then present the data. If a child is exposed to this process, how would that impact the child's math ability? How will it impact the child's science ability and reading ability? And so prescription education pretty much means that if we can bring this idea of scientific inquiry to the children in Little Rock School District, perhaps this can help increase the math, the science, the reading standards that we so desperately need in Little Rock. And that essentially is my vision for a Little Rock School District, just using my experience in science and using my experience in science education in order to better the Little Rock School District and the kids.
Of course. And I like that you're working to intersect the two. And so you kind of touched on it, but some of your areas of focus include innovation in science education, discourse and strengthening collaborations, improving trust in public education, pushing for different methods of learning that include hands-on options, and a few others. Can you discuss how you went about choosing your areas to focus on for your platform and how you plan to implement them in your position?
So I thought, so it was for me a natural, it was a natural path for me to focus on those areas only because of my background, and because uh, I've taught at the K-12 level using these methods, inquiry-based methods. I've implemented science curriculum. Um, I've assessed student learning gains. And so it was natural for me to move from the space of being a scientist and being an educator and trying to see how I could utilize my experience and my abilities to help um, all kids in the Little Rock School District.
And that's amazing. The ultimate goal is to help the children ultimately. And so while we've touched on many different things today, is there anything you like to add or speak on before we hop off of here?
Okay, yes. So I've been telling people this all the time. I'm not a politician. I never wanted to be a politician. This is the first time I'm running for office, and it's been quite a learning experience. It's been stressful on my family, on me, but I've learned so much. And I've connected with so many great people that are truly passionate about making public education better for the Little Rock School District. And I am truly just using my experience as a scientist, as an educator, and as a mom to make things better, to make the Little Rock School District better. And this is it for me. I'm not planning to run for political office beyond this. This has been quite a learning experience. Whether I win or not in November, I will remain a scientist. I will remain an educator. I just hope that I can lend my expertise somehow. But if you want to know a little bit more about my campaign, you can find me at Vang-Dings.com. You can also find me at Facebook, elect Kieng, kbvangdings.com. Thank you.
Of course. And I want to say thank you for joining us today, for taking the time to give us some insight on your platform and who you are. And I really hope that we've motivated some people to get out and make the right decision to vote for you come November 3rd. And we are just really wishing you the best on this journey to, claiming that seat come November.
Mm-hmm. I thank you, Andrea. I just want to say thank you, POPAC, and you for your support of women. I truly believe that women deserve a place at the table, at the decision-making table. So I am very appreciative of your support for women, especially women in politics, because there aren't as many as we would like there to be. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And so thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later. Thank you so much.